All right, what's good, guys? It's your boy Biospider 3.0 back with part two of the review for the SHF Darth Maul. I just wanted to let you guys know a few things real quick before we jump into the size comparisons and call it a day. So you can see now I've got the saber staff in his hands, or the double-sided lightsaber, whatever you want to call it. I just wanted to mention real quick, one of the easiest ways to get this into his hands that I found is to actually have the blades, not installed into the hilt, and then just to kind of basically slide the hilt through one of the gripping hands. This is the gripping hand that came on him, as I got him out the package, and it is kind of tight. But once you kind of like push it past the emitter part, which is of course like the largest or widest part of the hilt, once it gets past that, it does slide through pretty easily. And the irony in that is that once you actually get it in his get it in his hand, excuse me, it does have it is slightly loose, but not super loose to like where it's like a problem. Like it's not gonna be like flopping around or anything. It just has like a little bit of space in between his hand and the actual hilt itself. But yeah, he should be able to wield it very nicely, and you can like move it around. And yeah, it looks really good. Honestly, he looks great. So again, I'm probably gonna have the cloak on him a lot of the times in my display, but even without it, he looks pretty fantastic. And one of the last few things I wanted to mention, sorry, I'm talking too fast. One of the last things I wanted to mention before we get into the size comparisons is that, again, with that re-release, I did make a mistake in our first look. I said that he might come with a speeder in that re-release. He does not come with a speeder. He only comes with that droid and the soft goods cloak, which again I think is like far too baggy for him. It seems like it's made out of really nice material, but it just looks too big on the figure, in my opinion. It makes him look kind of silly. But yeah, and then what else did I want to mention? I noticed on the re-release, I'll have in the description the review by Action Display, because he did review the re-release and he compared it with this one right here, this first one. And it seems like the paint is a little bit brighter in certain areas on that, or kind of just all around really on that new re-release, which to me kind of makes the figure look a little cheaper. It kind of makes it look more like the Black Series version of Darth Maul. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that, like especially like the horns, like the color of the horns on the re-release is like a more like yellow, like very like yellow color, right? Compared to this more like beige, kind of like toned down, muted color that I think is more accurate to the movie. So yeah, I just think the paint work overall is a little nicer on this one. But Action Display did mention that swapping the hands out on the re-release was a lot easier. So in some ways, I kind of wish I had gotten that re-release just for that, because like I said, swapping the hands out on this guy was a pain in the butt. But yeah, and then yeah, I mean the overall articulation on this guy, I'll obviously have a clean figurine scale in the description. I do think the articulation could have been a little bit better, especially with this guy being such a acrobatic guy in the movies, right? He was throwing around all those kicks, aside from just wielding his lightsaber. So he was doing flips and all, kinds of stuff. So it would have been nice to see a little bit more articulation. But again, this is like one of those earlier SHF Star Wars figures, so I do give them a little bit of grace with that. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into size comparisons. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to mention. Yeah. Oh yeah, like for like his robe, for instance, as far as like the articulation, this this kind of like overlay piece in the front, this is actually a separate piece right here. I don't know if you guys can tell, but because it lays down so nicely, it looks like it's just sculpted on. But there is like a kind of softer plastic overlay, about like the same softness as like the skirt piece down here, and that kind of like helps him with the forward motion for the butterfly joint, as far as like getting his arms across the chest. But in the back, this is all like hard plastic, so when you reach his arm back, it does get like a little more limited compared to the front, because you have so much hard plastic right here. So that's something I wanted to note as well. But yeah, overall, still a really great figure. I do really like it. And you should be able to get him into some pretty dynamic poses. If you don't believe me, I will also have a link to Action Display's posability video for this guy, because I believe he did do one for this release as well as the re-release. He has separate posing videos for these figures, so he poses them far better than I ever could. So yeah, I'll just have the link for that in the description. So be sure to check that out if you want to see him in some, you know, really dope poses. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into size comparisons. But yeah, overall, I'm still like very, very happy, very pleased to have this figure finally in the collection. I've been wanting him for a long time, like I said. So here he is with the Black Series Reva, the third sister from Kenobi, the Kenobi series. Get her feet good here. All right, so there he is with an Inquisitor. We have Reva, try not to block her face with her saber. And then for another dark side person, we have Rey. This is the dark version of Rey from Rise of Skywalker. And you can see they all scale pretty well. Darth Maul is about 5'9", or Ray Park, I should say. In real life, he's about like 5'9", so I guess that works out pretty well. I'm not exactly sure how tall Moses Ingram is, but I'm guessing she's like a little shorter than Ray Park, or maybe around the same height. And then same thing for Daisy Ridley. I'm not exactly sure how tall she is, but you know, I think this could definitely work in a display. So let's move these out the way. For some more Star Wars comparisons, for Black Series, we have a Phase 1 clone trooper right here. Let me get his feet flat. Okay. Phase 1 clone trooper, and then we have the duels in Darth Vader from Kenobi right here. So you can see that is a pretty nice comparison. I like how much taller and bigger this Darth Vader is compared to Maul. Much bigger, and then you can see the Phase 1 clone trooper is just a little bit bigger as well. But yeah, I think those scale pretty good. Pretty alright. And then we have the Black Series Cobb Vanth deluxe version right here. We got Cobb Vanth, and we have this Tiburon Station Kenobi from Black Series. So that looks pretty good to me. Yep, I think those scale well, so there you go. And then one more Star Wars comparison, we have the Count Dooku, the next apprentice in line, in the, you know, Sith Lord in line. And we'll bring in a Marvel Legends. We got the In Space Silver Ranger right here from Lightning Collection. So I think that looks pretty good. Move them out the way. For Mafex, we got the comic version of Daredevil. For Toy Biz, we have a Sentinel Build-A-Figure Wave Cyclops. All right. So there's those two. And for Mafex, we'll also bring in the new TASM 2 Spidey. And we'll bring in McFarlane Toys DC Rebirth Deathstroke. So thanks for watching.